Welcome SAO Survivors! This week we got news on Sword Art Online light novels, alternative GGO light novels, Sword Art Online audiobooks. We have a lot to talk about on Sword Art Online games, whether mobile or console. And very recently we had the Abeshi bonus illustrations for Aria movie Blu-ray release revealed. So let's get into it. It's me GamerTurk as usual, and welcome to This Week in SAO for all your weekly SAO news. And this week's twist has a real sponsor. Huge thanks to Manscaped, the global brand for grooming and hygiene products for men, which is a majority of you, so you better listen closely. Your beautiful beard, that's not the only thing that matters. With Manscaped's all-in-one Perfect Package 4.0 kit, you get all you need and more. Featuring the new Lawnmower 4.0, which looks cool as hell, with its handy trimming light as well as the helpful travel lock feature to keep it safe from turning on when you put it in your bag, among others like Crop Preserver for feeling fresh down there. And the naming scheme? It always makes my childish mind chuckle, so well done for that. Go to manscaped.com today and get 20% off plus free international shipping when you use the promo code GamerTurk. And for a limited time, you'll also be getting the Shed travel bag and Manscaped anti-chafing boxers. Once again, that's code GamerTurk on manscaped.com for 20% off and free international shipping. Now back to our books. First thing on our agenda, this is your 2-week warning for Sword Art Online Progressive Volume 8, the second part of the Floor 7 story, Rhapsody of the Red Blaze. It's coming out, the English translation that is, on May 31st, so at the very end of this month. If you want to have a day 1 reading experience, you will likely have to pre-order around this time at the latest for that day 1 delivery, otherwise it may start lagging behind, especially if you're going for Amazon. As usual, I strongly recommend Book Depository, both of them will have their links down below. As mentioned in previous weeks as well, that's gonna be the second part of Floor 7. We're gonna be completing Floor 7 with that climax and reaching further into what's gonna be the climax of the L4 campaign on Floor 9. For the time being, we still do not have a release date for the next Progressive Volume, Sword Art Online Progressive Volume 9 in Japan, but we are expecting to hear something about it, hopefully in the near future, because the expected release date is supposed to be within this year. With our second news, we are stepping away a bit from the progressive news and moving over to the alternative GGO side with Len and everyone else. Now, whenever there's news about alternative GGO, quite a lot of you naturally don't know much about the light novel scene and ask me, alternative GGO is still going. Oh my god, I did not know this. When are we gonna get a second season? We don't know when you're gonna get a second season, but alternative GGO is progressing quite far beyond what you have seen in the anime. So if you're interested, first thing you gotta do is start with Volume 4, but the actual news is Alternative GGO Volume 11 English translation is scheduled for October 18, 2022 by Yen Press. The full name of the volume in traditional Six Sawa fashion, it's quite long. Alternative Gangale Online Volume 11 5th Squad Jam Part 1, which is actually quite tamer compared to some of its earlier titles. But yeah, as you can imagine, it's gonna be covering the 5th Squad Jam, the first portion of it. And to answer your questions, yes, there's a lot of things that have happened since the anime. So if you're interested, you are much better off jumping over to that light novel train. I'm still waiting on reading that Volume 4. Of course, Volume 4 being where you can actually continue beyond the anime, because the anime, the first season, covered the first 3 volumes. And based on that, you can already see where I'm going. There's at least 2 more seasons, if not 3 seasons worth of content within the light novels, and it's still continuing. So if you're interested, do check it out. Links down below in the description as usual. Next thing on our list, it's quite the long one. It is the Sword Art Online Progressive Aria of Starless Night movie Blu-ray bonus illustrations drawn by Abeshi, which there are quite a lot of, so I'm just gonna hold my hand here and put the illustrations up here so you can see them and just, you know, enjoy them as they scroll. I hope this recording was long enough. Next set of news, we are moving from light novels into the audiobook section. Just a small notice, nothing too big, but Sword Online audiobooks by Yen Audio, Yen Press's audiobook department, they are now available on Bookwalker Global as well, so even more avenues for you to go grab them if you're interested in audiobooks. Currently, it's the first 5 books available, so 2 volumes of Aincrad, 2 volumes of Fairy Dance, and the first volume of the Phantom Bullet arc, with the 6th volume, the second part of Phantom Bullet, scheduled for August 9, narrated by Bryce Papenbrook, Kirito's English voice actor, accompanied by Shera Millet, Asuna's English voice actor. So again, having more avenues to grab these books is always appreciated. Moving over to the game side of news, which the main reason we're talking about it this week is because there's barely anything, and it's starting to tick people off. All the different kinds of, SAO game enjoyers, whether it's people waiting for Alicization Lycoris or people playing Unleashed Blading. It's quite the weird phase we're going through. Now, as you know, Sword Online Alicization Lycoris, the second paid DLC, is still very much scheduled for spring 2022. The problem is, if you look at your calendar right now, we're kind of approaching the very end of spring 2022, so it still remains to be seen what is happening with that DLC. We heard absolutely nothing about it. There were 0 promotions. Even in previous promotional material, they usually tease some future content. We learned about at least the Myosotis key visual or some previews in earlier streams, regardless of how contextless they were. So right now, the fact that we are supposed to be so close to that second DLC release and know absolutely nothing about it, sometimes it's good knowing absolutely nothing. In the case of Destiny, we're living it right now, getting closer to the next season, and since the story narrative is going like week by week, it's really nice not knowing what is about to happen in 2 weeks, but this is weird. Like, I can't imagine dropping that second DLC absolutely out of nowhere because they need the marketing for it. So I have no idea what's happening there, and Japanese people have no idea either. The Japanese fans on Twitter particularly have started asking questions as to what's happening with that second paid DLC, because come on, we're almost in June, the spring is over. Where is our DLC? We know absolutely nothing, and I do hope in the upcoming weeks we will actually hear something. At this point, I am also happy to hear about a delay, because that is also something. Let's not act like the DLC does not exist at all. I think we need some communication on that front, and I hope that communication, whatever it may be, will come soon enough. Moving over, the second game we're going to talk about, Sword Online Variant Showdown. There was an extensive interview on Dengeki Online. I wanted to cover it extensively in this week in SAO, but we're still in the process of translating. Hisui on Sword Online Wikia is currently translating it bit by bit, but he has been quite busy. He has an exam to take today as well. He hasn't completed the entire thing. I'm gonna give you our translation link on Twitter. It has been translated to a certain portion so far, and Hisui will be continuing that translation when he is available. You can just watch that thread live as we translate it. Otherwise, I'm gonna talk about it here next week instead, so please do understand that was a bit of a miscalculation on the amount of time required to translate it. Apparently, it's quite the pain to translate this interview, so have both Gushimenas and Hisui have told me, so I'm gonna have to trust them on that. Next up, we have Sword Online Integral Factor, pretty much the only game that I can actually share some news at the very least, which I'm just gonna read from my list because there's usually too many small things to cover in a single go. But it is quite the big news. Floor 85 has been confirmed to be the next floor release in Integral Factor, and it is coming on May 25. It's very close. It seems to have a story revolving around fancy casual dresses, as you can see from the screenshots, but let's hope it's a full-sized floor, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I always look forward to new floor releases in Integral Factor. That's the one consistent thing that I look forward to with Sword Online mobile games. Integral Factor's main story. So thank you, please give us more. But that is not the only thing from Integral Factor. As usual, we have smaller weekly news. Currently, there is the Heart Stealing Order. It's featuring Yu-Gi-Oh!, Koharu, Sachi, and Klein. The new guild ranking, Season 23, is currently here. We're currently in the pre-season. I think today or tomorrow, that's gonna switch into the full event itself. I do not care about guild events, so just check your notice board for that. There's the Fish Assault event campaign for more XP, gems, and some other rewards if you're interested. There's the Building Up Skills with Shinon event. At this point, you're familiar with it. Raising Assisting Character campaign with Lizbeth. You know, her upcoming birthday is here. In fact, by the time this video is up, it's probably gonna be her birthday in Japan, so this may be active by the time you're watching it. And the weekly guaranteed order is a bow guaranteed order. So if you're maining bows or you want to give it over to Koharu for her to use bows, this is your chance. As for Sword Art Online Unleash Blading, the weirdness continues. There's absolutely nothing happening in Unleash Blading once again. This has happened a couple times in the past months where there was a very glaring issue of content drought. There is no other way to put it. And whenever it happens, it just feels like that period where Memory Defrag was about to announce its shutdown decision. So I don't think Unleash Blading is going to be, you know, going that route just yet. I am quite certain they will want to see what they can salvage with their Moon Cradle original sequel story. But again, every single time something like this happens, it's always worrying for the game, especially if you look at the financials of the game. I will eventually make a video about it, been meaning to do it for the past year, I'm just too lazy. The game is not doing well. The game is very clearly doing worse than the 4-year-old Integral Factor at this point, which is not a good look. It's doing like 25% worse already and has a much sharper decline in its revenue and popularity, while Integral Factor is still maintaining it for itself. So yeah, it's interesting where Unleash Blading is going to go from here. Again, I don't expect a shutdown announcement anytime soon, but in the midterm, we're definitely gonna see it. Maybe wait until Variant Showdown is released and they will see how that game is carrying over for a couple months. But but after that, like, I wouldn't be too hopeful. The game is not doing well and it's very clear wherever you look at it. But that's it for this week in SAO. Again, very much light novel and games focused. Let's hope we'll hear something about the Scherzo movie sometime soon, because I want to see at least the full trailer, please. As usual, thank you very much for watching, and if you enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon and like the video and make comments and stuff. They all help immensely. And of course, with YouTube having me demonetized, we're having more ad slots like this week's. And you can support me on Patreon, so please have a look at it and see if you want to support the channel. Thank you very much, as usual, to ex-YouTube members until I get monetized again, and my patrons, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, stay cool.